I wanted to say something about good works or resting day and night, the difference between the two. As the Father is an example first, and already and is always, and was the example first. So he's never a hypocrite. So for resting, he creates during 6 days. And speaking of his creation naturally, but there's the spiritual meaning of this. So the Father is already that. He already is that and does this, rest from his works like this. But it's not about resting from literal working, like physically. But we read this about creation naturally, but there's the spiritual meaning, heavenly meaning. And that's who the Father is, an example of resting from his works first. And that's not to take away from resting a day, but the heavenly meaning, though. So during the day, during light, he creates and does his works during the day. These are his good works, the perfect works. They're spiritually works from our heart, the meaning, but as we read it, literally working, creating creation, representing something though, spiritual. And that's who he is. The spiritual meaning is what he's doing and is an example of first, already is that. And so he works during the day, and during the daylight, light is light and it's never darkness. It's only his good works. There's no darkness in him. To be in his light is to do his good works, light. But then evening comes, and between evening and morning, there's night. Evening comes and then it's night and then it's morning. Evening and then a morning, day 2. So works during the day. Evening comes, rest from his works. He doesn't work at night. Working at night is doing evil works. The carnal man only is in darkness, therefore his works are always evil. Blind, can't see what it's doing and what others are doing, can't see clearly. And hypocrisy blinds people. It's a log in someone's eye when they still do exactly what they point a finger to, which is what the carnal man's doing constantly. So that's why it's a log. It's a big sin. That's why the picture's like that. This is how it would look on how much bigger the sin is of hypocrisy. It looks like it doesn't look right. A giant log in someone's eye. Yeah, that's how you have to give the parable on how much bigger the sin is. So then and the other person could be doing what someone says, but they're still doing it then. So now take the log out of our own eye so we can see clearly, to take the splinter out of someone else's eye. It became a log because of the hypocrisy. Evening comes and then night. He rests from his works at night. He doesn't work at night. No evil works. There's no darkness in him. Darkness representing evil works, blind works, confusion, stumbling, falling. And then morning comes, and now day 2 in the morning, sunrise, he does works for day 2. Evening comes, resting during the night, and now morning comes again. Day 3, works during the day of 3, called 2 day, and then there's 2 night, and then there's 2 morrow, day 4. Now, day 4 today, day 4 tonight, in that it's the same number day, but it's not. It's 2 night is the proper meaning and word. 2 day and 2 night, but it's still the 4th. In the morning only, tomorrow, which is morning. Day 5 now, he works only during the day, and then he rests from all his works. Day 7. And he's been resting ever since. To rest To enter his rest is to continually rest from our own prideful, self-righteous works and rely on his works, his teaching, his power to do the works. We rest from our own. He's been resting ever since, so that those that enter his rest are needing and are resting continually from their works. The old man can't be doing the works because his works, the old man is darkness. Only evil works continually, like we read in Genesis. Only evil continually. This is why Messiah says, working during the day, but then when night comes, it's when no man can work, right? No one can actually do what's right, you know. It's not, he's not talking about, the meaning is not no one can literally do anything at all. Just there's no way of doing it, right? It doesn't stand. It's going to be punished, blind, judged, delusional. No man can work at night. Can't do any good works at night. Need to be in his light. Entering the marvelous light, like we read, he does this. So the seventh day he gives Adam to rest. The Father rested. He created all creation. When did he not create the creation and rest on day 7? He did that for all creation. The whole creation, you know, will rest, have rest, his rest. He did it for all creation already. So his new creation will have all rest, entering rest now, but then the rest of the creation later entering his rest. Because all creation without partiality, he rested from the works. And it's for Adam, it's for people, his people, for their benefit, this rest, Sabbath day, one of the greater commandments, and it's connected to his creation, pretty big deal. And the seventh day is like the perfect thing, the complete thing, and rest. The new creation, day 8, number 8, representing the new creation after entering his rest. 7, spiritual instead of 6, carnal. And number 8, to be fully made new, to come, is next to number 7, rest. And number 8 is not next to number 6, but 7, entering his rest now, is still next to 6. So it's a war between carnal and spirit, between flesh and spirit, because becoming spiritual, entering his rest, day 7, is next to 6. It's fighting it. But when we are all made new fully, it will have been day 8 after the for the whole creation, all the creation. 6, 7, and 8, 21. 1 plus 2 is 3. The 3 different numbers. 7 is at war with 6, but 7 is at rest, peace with 8. 8 is not next to 7 anymore. There's no more battle. There is no more warring against the flesh when, you know, made new. Messiah being the first, glorified. No more battle and war, but 8 and 7 as one, rest and new creation. Father doesn't do works of darkness, doesn't work during the night, and it's as we read it in his word as the natural, having the spiritual meaning he has to give, but the natural doesn't contradict the spiritual. He doesn't work at night like we can read in Genesis. Doesn't do evil works of the heart, spiritual meaning of not working at night. And someone that's not in his rest, they can't just snap their fingers or say words, and that just means They're of the truth. That's what children in religion do. We say this doctrine, therefore we're saved. We're Calvinists, therefore we're saved because we are Calvinists. What does that have to do with anything at all? What does that have to do with knowing the Father and Messiah and overcoming actual sin and death? Oh, we gotta mature and get out of being a child. The carnal is always a child, speaks as a child, acts like a child, is a child. Put away childish things and spiritually mature in Messiah. How could this commandment be gone when it has to do with everything with creation? Creating 6 days and resting on the seventh. How could this go away? The Father would have to go away. He would have to lie and break it himself. Has he done that at any point? No, absolutely not. Fourth commandment, but we have to enter his rest. Stop doing evil carnal works. From the carnal man needs to die. So it's possible to only understand it naturally and still do evil with the heart and be an enemy. But being taught in the heart what this is, and then we keep his commandments the proper way with the right intention, with the right heart, without pride, without self-righteousness, without boasting, without going above other people. There's no such thing as going above. Messiah got low to serve his disciples, and he's the master, and no one is greater than the master. The highest Messiah's people can go is no higher than the master, and the master got below others. That's the highest someone can go, is below someone. This is not what the carnal man is and what he's doing. He's doing the exact opposite. He's not serving others. He's serving himself, feeding himself, doing everything self. Therefore, it's blind, doing works of darkness continually. The judgment, like we read, he makes darkness pursue the enemies. Drunkenness in the night, stumbling, can't see, like a drunkard. Read about the heavens and earth like shaking, like a drunkard or something, moving. Yeah, the devil's creation, so-called, the devil's truth, so-called, inverted of our Father's truth. The creation's moving very fast and spinning and moving 666,000 miles per hour. The exact opposite of firm foundation, cannot be moved, steady like a rock. There is no moving, no shadow of turning. The Father changes not. Something that sits on pillars doesn't move and spin and travel. And the earth is likened to sitting on pillars. There is no example of anything in all of history, where we talk about pillars connected to a foundation of which the pillars hold up something. They're not moving. It's a foundation. The Messiah says he will make his people pillars in the kingdom of heaven. Important pillars, it holds quite a bit of weight. Pillars make you a pillar. A connection from the foundation to things above that it's holding. So holding some weight, having, the kingdom, part of the kingdom, making his people a pillar. A new name, some hidden food, manna, spiritual food. I think that's it for this one. Is Something so simple that the world just cannot do what's right. It's backwards, and it's the literal manifestation is backwards, but the spiritual thing is backwards. A new day starts at night in this world, in the middle of the night. Light is darkness, and darkness is light. No separation. Calling good evil and evil good, and it's all one and the same. And a new day starting at night, and then the day count changes at night and not in the morning. So to create this world and the God of this world can't even have something like this to be true and simple. That a new day starts in the morning, and day is always light and never darkness. That's why they'll say 24 hours a day, to take darkness and light and not separate them, but make them one and call it all light and dark day. That's a lie. It's mixing. It's calling good evil and evil good spiritually. That's what's going on in the hearts. It's some serious delusion and rebellion. How is it the whole world doesn't care? Ask the question. How is it everyone's that blind about something like this, so simple? Well, I didn't see it either until it was given. But look at the world. Look at his prophecy. If we can see, it's powerful. He's got power. His judgments are all over the earth. He's blinded this world and made it utter foolishness to him. The wisdom of this world is foolishness. I'm seeing it. What people praise and worship and think is wise in this world is utter stupidity. I'm seeing it all over the place, everywhere. Someone says something and they go, wow. They marvel and wonder after that serpent wisdom, and it's actually stupid. It's like a little child thinking something's great, but it's not, because it's a child. Not understanding or having a clue about anything yet. But everyone has to start as a baby, grow up, child, and then mature in Messiah. Everyone was a baby first. No exceptions. Good evil and evil good spiritually in the heart. That's what all creation is doing in the heart, calling it good evil, evil good, with their works proving it. The doctrine, their works, everything. The new heavens and new earth, from one Sabbath to another, from one new moon to another. New heavens and earth. How is it not true now? If it will be true then. But all things true in part now, but we're not. This is not the new heavens and earth. This is not the fulfillment of new heavens and earth, but you could say it's true, all things true, spiritual prophecy. In part, like a down payment of things to come in full, and looking forward to a new heavens and new earth where righteousness dwells. There's no righteousness dwelling in this earth. Save a few that have the Father's righteousness. It's all unrighteous. It's all evil, Sodom and Gomorrah. So the prophecy there in Isaiah, new heavens and earth, there's still a Sabbath rest. Still. How could there not be now? But these things don't come to mind in the harlot houses. It just doesn't. Nothing does. Resist it bitterly and attack anything that's good and true from above, from the Father. The tears being wiped away, being healed, yes, true for his people. but not fully filled up, not tears wiped away fully so that it's utterly filled up and it never happens. That still happens, it's a war. But yes, in part receiving this, seeing proof of it by receiving his spirit, being healed, it's just not filled up yet in full. The prophecy, any prophecy, it's going to be filled up in full. The understanding of something spiritual is that it's true now for us. Every word is true for us now. Saving, being saved, saving his people now, but then still not saved yet because of the real full salvation to come. Will fulfill the prophecy utterly, no more tears. In part, true for his people now. Being saved, continually abiding in the vine, but still not salvation day in full to come. All Israel will be saved. That's how all Israel will be saved. It's a dark world. They call everything's backwards at the end. It's utterly lawlessness. And I fully believe it will be just perfectly to the highest degree backwards that it ever was at the end. Like perfectly evil, spiritual lawlessness, everything. The new moon is a full moon, full of light and glory. New is good, not old is bad. Old is darkness. Old man is darkness spiritually. Evil works in the night. New moon, full moon is the new moon. So this world calls it backwards, that a dark moon is the new moon. Yeah, it calls darkness good, new. And it calls good darkness, light, darkness. See? As a literal teaching for the world, it's doing that. But spiritually, it's doing that with the heart continually. Calling darkness light and light darkness, just mixing it all together as one, and that's how this is done. So it's way deeper than the full moon. It's way deeper than the Sabbath day. Spiritual evil works in the heart, a deeper, higher thing. It's marveling and wondering after the beast that changes times and law. The calendar is a lie, utterly beast calendar. Try to remove his name in scripture. They can't butcher his word. That's for us to find out and search these things, his truth. They're protecting it. The harlot is no different. They're protecting their lies, resisting truth, teaching lies. The natural man is not subject to the law of Elohim, neither can it be. Cannot love it, cannot be subjected to it of self at all. Neither can it be. Takes a miracle, takes the Father's power and works to start being subjected to it, to keep spiritual law. They perverted everything. Yes, they think to change time and law. What's already true. It's being true. It will be true. It's utter perversion of everything. All the days are pagan on the worldly calendar, beast calendar. All the names of the weekdays are pagan, and the months pagan. You know, the deep spiritual seduction, sun worship spiritually with the heart. It's attached to pagan, false gods, and evil of the devil. So the Creator has his own days, which are for our benefit when he gives us a heart to keep it, for our benefit, for any of his days, like his way of celebrating, or feast days, his way with the heart, a right way of doing it. So the world has their own. Christmas, Martin Luther, Halloween, Easter, it's all pagan, all of it. It's all wicked. So it's deeper than that. And yet this is important still because it's doing things out of the heart, wanting to do what's right and true. Therefore, it's those that know the Father want to do what's right for the right reason and understanding. We stop worshiping and celebrating with our heart the pagan days, holidays, the holidays of the world, its calendar. It's the only right way to do it. To command and be carnal and just do it for the sake of doing it naturally and only understanding that and not what it really means with the heart, to feast, to number the days, to rest, is to be carnal, command others to do the same and boast in someone's flesh for them obeying, not hearing from Messiah and being taught the spiritual law written in the heart by the Father and Messiah, so that we do this with a good, true intention heart with understanding. Then the other thing, as it's written, is kept for the right reason and true intentions with the heart. No other way to keep his commandments than to be taught by the Father himself, the Messiah, for the heart first, above. Speeding up, it's going faster, it's mixing everything. It's prideful, it's cold and getting colder. It's perverted and getting more perverted. No different than Sodom and Gomorrah. Even worse than Sodom and Gomorrah today than it was at Sodom's end. Even worse. Found ways to exaggerate the sin even more. Selfish things and selfish ways to do things for self to be recognized and worshipped as God, the God of gods, the man of sin, the son of perdition. In the temple. The physical temple in Jerusalem was blasphemed with images. We are the temple, ye are the temple. The images inside the physical temple representing all these evil things going on that the spiritual law means, whatever it means. Idols, images, worshiping other gods, believing self as God in its own mind, working as God. Those are the blasphemous images. There's no greater blasphemy than for man to believe it's a God in its own mind, especially, obviously, or literally the Creator himself, God. The anti-Messiah is the perfect anti-Messiah. The devil's Messiah is God. That is the great blasphemy. That is the blasphemy. That is the Jesus Christ, God. There is no greater blasphemy for a man to be a god in its own mind, let alone literally God the Creator, as they say he is, their Messiah, anti-Messiah. Whatever is true, the devil can only do the opposite. Submitting to the Father, needing his works because he couldn't do it his own self. Of myself I can do nothing, Messiah said. Humble, submitting to the Creator, his Father, like he said so many times. His own Father. My Father, your Father, no different than all the people after him. All those after him also his Father, their Father, Creator, Heavenly Father, Messiah's Father. Receiving his Spirit, doing the works, giving him the teaching, giving him truth, power to live his work, to live the Father's every word. Become living words, living life of living it. He didn't break the Sabbath day in his heart, let alone the Sabbath day as it's written. Connected, kept it with the right intention and reason, unlike the prideful Pharisees, adding 10,000 things to it. The more you add, the more it makes self look better, even rarer, because we do all these things and nobody else is doing this. See, they don't understand. They weren't in his rest. They weren't keeping the Sabbath the way it's supposed to, like Messiah did, perverting, adding to it, let alone keeping it in the heart spiritually the true way. They didn't do that. They kept it for some other intention and reason. Pride and self-righteousness. They kept the Sabbath day literally like that. Two ways of doing everything, good and evil. Could be a carnal Jew, a carnal Pharisee. Messiah understood the rest. He was in the Father's rest with the heart and spirit. So he knew how to keep the Sabbath the right, true way and understands what it means. And so he keeps it the proper way with the heart, and it's for our benefit, his rest. So there's a good rest, resting from our works. Darkness, it's only resting from our works, the carnal man, dark works. But in the daylight, we rest from our works. This is the good rest, and it's the Father's works. He's doing the works in his creation. Genesis. I don't think I said it just like that. Just something new just gave me right now. Not that I didn't see this understanding, but even deeper, another angle. The Father's doing the works, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In his creation, it's his works. Creating in his creation. So in his people, creation, spiritually now with his people. He does the works in the daylight. At night, he doesn't do works because that's evil. It's only dark, evil works. The devil is evil. Darkness does evil work. Carnal man does evil works in the dark. So that's the good rest from our works, spiritually speaking, with the heart. And the Father's works become our works. Like we read in Genesis, he does the works in Genesis, in his creation. Man rest. Now there's a other kind of rest, the other side of it at night. At night we rest and don't work at night, because to work at night, spiritual here, is to do evil works. The Father didn't do that. We could read it in Genesis. So we rest at night. Even someone going to sleep at night has meaning. Everything has meaning. There's meaning everywhere, more than I can even imagine. They're showing me a lot of meaning all over with his word and his creation, but seeing more, meaning everywhere. Everything created with meaning, with wisdom and knowledge and, you know, meaning. So at night you go to sleep, you rest. The old man rests at night, always, you know. You go to sleep again tomorrow at night, never working at night, ever. That's, you know, that's the perfect way. Resting from our works at night. The old man goes to sleep, dies, doesn't do any works. How many works does someone do when they go to bed, sleep? Zero. So when night comes, spiritual, we rest from our works at night and don't do our own works, our own thoughts, like we read in scripture for the Sabbath, not doing our own works, our own thoughts. Lean out on our own understanding. During the day, we rest from our works because that's for night. We rested from our works at night, the old man, and the Father's works are working during the day, good works. And at night, we rest from our own works. And this is the continual rest from our own works. So what's the creation doing at the very end? It's working around the clock all night. Is it about that? Is it is that the higher heavenly meaning? No, but it's manifesting now. It's going to be the worse than perfectly evil at the end. Working all night, through the whole night. Because it's spiritually doing that. Everyone that doesn't have the Father, they're doing works in the night. Carnal man, still saving on, holding to their own soul. It's their own works from their own carnal mind and power and understanding. We have to rest from that continually at night. Only in the daylight working. Night is for the drunkards. Night is for the owls. The creeping things in the night, let it do what it does, but we can't be working at night. And go to sleep at night. Maybe that's why it starts manifesting when someone starts getting crazy. Where they just like sleep all day, party, awake all night, sleep all day. See, it's not about that, and yet it is about that. But it's the natural thing. It's understanding the spiritual meaning of it to do with our heart. Work all night, sleep all day. Yeah, backwards. Spiritually backwards. Calling good evil and evil good. All right, peace. Take care. Seek truth from above.